boom, 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 shake the room. Woo.
Hello and welcome to another movie review from MBE. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. I am one of your co-presenters, Stephen John McLaughlin. Our other co-presenters are John C. Walsh and Ruth Aaron. We thank you for joining us on here on this Friday night, and as always we are doing a movie review, and tonight we are doing Vikram K. Kumar's 24 starring Surya and Samantha. I'm going to add Samantha in there as well because she's a big part to play in this film.
Absolutely.
And 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb. I think that's about right. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to hand it over to you now, John, and you can take us through this review experience.
We are going to endeavour to make this short. We're going to try and keep this to half an hour, but time will tell if it works. This is how I screwed that, Ruth. Sorry, I put you on the screen. I don't know why, man. That should be happening. Let's see. It's not a good start.
This is never going to be 30 minutes now.
Needless to say, we rate our movies a certain way, and I cannot for the life of me find the ratings graphic. It's here. Press the wrong one. There's a moonlight in front of me. You must bear with me. I can't see things. I'm blind as a bat as it is. This is how we rate our movies. F is for terrible, D is for average, C is for good, B is for excellent, and A is for perfection. You'll get varying degrees of goodness, of averageness, of excellence, depending on where we put the movies in this grading system. That's how we do it. Keep that in mind for when we get to the end of the review and we give a rating for this movie. But look, man, we'll get right into it. What was your thoughts going into this movie? For me, I'd just seen Surya last week. That was my first brush with this guy. And of course, Sir Harry Potter. And by all accounts, people saying it's the best movie of this year. And look, I was blown away with the guy. I thought he was brilliant. He was a likeable figure, a determined guy. Numerous obstacles put in his way in that film. I enjoyed the performance. He was one of the standout things. The villains were good in that as well. And this, I was going into this fully aware he was playing three characters. Yeah. I knew that because Stephen had watched the movie before me, and he made me aware he's playing three characters in this. I was excited for that. I've seen Telepathy do it, and I've heard it's done and by a lot of other actors in the Indian scene, if you'd like, film scene. I went into it with that mindset. I've seen his brilliance in terms of acting. I know his personality. I know what he's like. Looking forward to seeing it. What was your thoughts going in, Stephen? Did you share my sentiments going into this movie? Yeah. We'd obviously only seen one Surya movie. We put it to the community. They picked 24. That's why we were here. Were you aware it was a multi-performance? A multi-character performance? I didn't know, John,
because we've never done a trailer reaction or anything like that for this film, and we didn't really know too much about it until the poll went up, and then the community decided to, share their thoughts on it. Also, the sort of multi-level of acting from Surya as well, which I know we'll get into with performances. It's fantastic to the extent that you actually forget he is these three people. I actually took myself out of the picture a couple of times thinking I hate this guy. And I think, oh, Surya, I love this guy. What am I talking about?
I didn't know it was two different people at the start of a movie when the father's taking on Aretha.
Yeah.
If that's what you call him, by the way, we'll get into that. Yeah. Freya. He's not Aretha Franklin. Freya. I was unsure if it was the same actor. Yeah. Turns out it is. It's Surya. Ruth, what was your thoughts? What was your first time seeing this movie? Because I do recall when we got onto the subject of Surya, you did mention 24 and you mentioned a few of his other movies, and this was a standout. This is something, maybe not a standout, but one you go back and watch, because Sir Harry Potter, I think he says, was slightly different to the average Surya movie. When did you see this movie, and were you aware it was a multi-character performance from the guy? Is that the first time he'd done it? Has there been other versions of movies where he's played multiple characters? And what was your mindset getting in?
Yeah, no, I mean, Surya has played other movies where he's played twins. Yeah. He's even played, although it wasn't a hit, he's also played conjoined twins.
Oh, right, yeah.
Movie.
Oh, that's quite hard to do.
Yeah, so he's always been different in the sense that he's always tried to take on very different roles, trying not to do the same thing again. And some of them have been hits, some have been misses, but the one thing is that people have always appreciated the fact that he's tried new things and he puts his all, in whatever he tries. So yeah, so when I heard that this was, I love time travel movies in general, whether it is generally time travel or whether it is like a multiverse type of thing, I love science fiction that is like that. And So there haven't been a lot of Indian movies in general that has a lot of this kind of time travel things. Sometimes they used to have in the past where like the idea of rebirth and that kind of thing. They might have an idea of that, but they don't usually have that kind of pure science fiction
Yeah.
type of time travel.
Do
thing
really
and
good
all that.
flashbacks, so that's what I will say. The flashback game is
Yeah.
unparalleled.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Unbelievable how they can go back in time and tell a story, and sometimes just
Exactly,
linger there for
yeah.
about an hour
Yeah.
and then come back and just
And I
concisely
think that
finish it.
really, yeah, actually that ability, I think that they handle flashbacks really well. I think lended itself a bit more to this story because so coming to the fact that when I heard about this, I really heard about this through the grapevine, because it was during a period where I was too busy to go to the theater to watch anything, and so then I heard about it from friends and stuff that, okay, there's a new Surya movie out and everything. And there's no chance that I will not watch a new Surya movie that comes out. So that's basically what drew me to it. And then when I heard it's about, like, I didn't hear it was about time travel until I actually saw it, I think. I think that's when I discovered. I don't know
Alright.
how that part missed, and like people telling me about it. I just completely missed that. And so when I actually saw it, I was pleasantly surprised that
Yeah.
it was I think the first time I went into a Surya movie not knowing what it was about, but just so
That aspect of
that's
time
why I got to
travel,
know about it.
the aspect of time travel is what intrigued me getting into it, because
Yeah.
look, we've watched off the top of my head 20-30 Indian movies, and it's been primarily a lot of romantic stuff, comedic stuff, action stuff, with the odd sports story flung in there for good measure. I've never seen a science fiction Indian movie to date, be it north, south, whatever we've watched. This was the first time really dabbling with it,
There
and
has
also you
been
told us, Ruth, that it was,
there
so I
have
knew getting in.
been a few time travel movies that there have been some Hindi movies that are time travel related, but mostly it's all around romance.
Yeah,
And then
that's what most things
if
are.
I'm not mistaken, that is. And then with what do you call that? In Tamil, there's only been, I think, one other
Really?
like
That's-
pure time travel movie that came out, and the other one was not too bad as well.
In fairness, even in Western cinema, there's not a huge amount of time travel movies. You think Back to the Future's famous, that's the standout. Time Machine was like 60 years ago, 70 years ago.
1960.
Then you've got some dabbling with the concept, but not out and out time travel movies. There's probably about 5-6 in the history of Hollywood that I can think of that are out and out, are actual time travel, out and out, and not manipulation of time.
That's the thing about any time travel film, though, is that take it with a pinch of salt, because at the end of the day, it is only a theory, and everyone has different interpretations. I saw myself picking holes with this film from start to finish, and I tried to not do that, because I tried to just let it wash over me and enjoy it for what it was. And it was a very enjoyable movie and a very great piece of storytelling. But you're absolutely right. Now, there's a bit that I actually do this thing when I'm watching a film at home. I get into IMDb to read trivia while I'm watching the film. But I hated the fact that I read a bit of trivia about this film in regards to the science, and that the watch could only take you back 24 hours or freeze time within that 24-hour period. But it gave me the chance to build up to the moment where the uncle, I don't know his name, I was like, I can't wait to see his face when he discovers this, because he thinks he's going to go back 26 years. It's not happening, man. It's just not happening.
Because the thing is that when he was recording doing the video, just before he was about to say there's something a bit different about this one, the 24 project, he was going to explain about the fact that it's only 24 hours. And before he did that, the baby dropped knocked over the acid bottle, and
that caused the explosion.
So when later on, Athreya plays back all his videos, he misses that completely.
Yeah, look, that was great. That was a great reveal. Just because he was a shithead. And look, again, you speak about, we'll get into performances, I'm sure, in more depth after in a little bit. But Surya, unbelievable, man. He played 3 characters, and they all felt like fully formed, completely different people. Aesthetically, totally different. And in terms of the character, the personality, what he was able to project onto those characters was unbelievable. It's one of the best multi-character performances I've seen in a film. And that's why the real stand out for me. As Stephen says there, we'll get into the story. Also, it is a time travel movie. Stephen touched on it. With time travel movies, it seems every single one has a different variation in how to time travel, a different device that enables it, different laws of physics going on within time travel. You can't bring people with you. If they touch it, they can bring them with you. You can't alter things because it will create, I don't know, splits in reality, and it will cause people to disappear. They've all got their own way of doing it. We spoke about it before the actual review we came on. Endgame poked holes in fun at Back to the Future and its interpretation of time travel. I was the same. I was watching it. I'm like, how does this work? Why is he not doing this? Why is this not happening? How's Afreya touching this watch at the end and actually getting back 26 years with him? I couldn't I'm like, just forget it. It doesn't matter. Immerse yourself, envelop yourself in this director's vision. This is his interpretation of the time travel. This is his device. He's created it. It's his world, his rules. So I didn't allow that to take me out. I did know, like Stephen, I did nitpick though. I'd say, right, what's this? But with these movies, it's a time travel movie, it's science fiction, and like all science fiction movies, you have to suspend disbelief. So look, I've done that many times before watching movies like this, so it's absolutely fine. It wasn't a huge issue. But the story for me, I thought it was very well written. I thought the characters were fully formed already. There wasn't a huge amount of development involved. It wasn't necessary. Manny was already quite a headstrong, fully formed adult by the time we meet him in this movie. The only thing that we gift him is the ability to manipulate time. And the only way he really develops in this is via his relationship with Safia and try to woo her and get her to be obviously a potential wife, a potential partner. And some of the things that happened within that, the pausing and trying to stab the tyre, some of the best moments in the movie came between these two characters, Manny and Safia.
I loved that.
Wasn't that brilliant when she caught him?
It was so
She's
funny.
like, what the are you doing, bitch? You're stabbing my tyre. It's alright, I'm a watch mechanic. He kept saying I'm a watch mechanic. I know what I'm doing, I'm a watch mechanic. And I love the little kid at the end says, I'm a watch mechanic. He ain't a watch mechanic, you're not even growing up yet. But what I'm saying is the characters didn't have to develop that much. It was unnecessary. The director, the writers had done a great job of providing us with fully formed characters. But the story for me, it was you have to be watertight when you're doing time travel movies, and I thought in the main it was very watertight. You've got the brilliant dad, you've got the evil twin trying to steal his power from the fairy's goods, if you'd like, or deeds. And then also you've got the son who's lost his parents. He's going through this journey. I thought it was very well written. I thought it flowed brilliantly. It was a 2 hour 30 odd minute movie, knocking on 40-minute movie. Felt like 2 hours. It flowed by like that, man. Very easy to watch. There's violence in there, there's lots of things happening. I thought it was a very, very well written story. But what was your thoughts, Ruth? What was your thoughts on the story? Was there any themes in this movie that maybe hit out to you watching it? Because for me, I didn't want to get that deep in this movie and start thinking about themes that we're trying to go for. For me, it was just about maybe possessive and being jealous and being a bad human being. That's maybe the themes that were explored via the Afreya character. But what was your thoughts on the story? Do you agree with me that it was a pretty tight, well-written movie? It flowed very well.
I think it was very well scripted, and I think what happens is that sometimes when people worry too much about science fiction and all that, they worry about the technical stuff, that sometimes the plot lines aren't that great. But this one was not like that. This one, the plot was very, I think, a solid plot. It was a simple story, but it had a good flow of the story, in the sense that all the threads could be followed. There was no like a lot of confusion, or you could clearly be able to tell the timelines, and you could follow the thread that wove the movie together. It was very clear. I like the fact that it was very well scripted. There was a clear villain. There was a clear storyline as to what was happening.
Mitra, I think it was his right hand man. He's a bit of a bastard as well. But
guy,
yeah.
You can understand. He's at the side of Afreya. He's telling him what to do. He's screaming in this. By the way, sorry for interrupting you here. But he's the way he was able to carry his voice as Afreya was unreal. When he finally wakes up from the coma, you can hear him shouting. And there's a venomousness in that actual screaming. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, Ruth. Carry on.
Yeah. So besides the fact that it was well written and scripted and everything, I thought that it had a bit of a fresh approach, in the sense that, like I told you, I've watched a lot of time travel movies. I think pretty much most of them I've seen, in American films and in others as well. And for me, I mean, there's always whatever they touched in this movie, everything they did in terms of time travel rules, so to speak, without having rules. It followed some form of a format that has been done before. So in that sense, I didn't find it anything jarring in the way in which they made time travel plausible in this. I found it according to the rules that have been set from past movies and all that. I felt it fit in with that quite well.
Like the pausing.
But what I liked about it was that it was fresh in the sense that it didn't lose its Indianness in a way. It was a westernized style movie, but at the same time it had the usual, dramatic, emotional human story, the middle of it. It wasn't just a romance. It was a romance. It was a family drama. It was a story of revenge.
Yeah.
It had all the quintessential Indian elements that you usually have in an Indian movie.
That's what I
and
got from
also very importantly, you also had the idea of destiny and some spiritual element woven into the fabric of the storyline.
With Manny being the shop, but the watch mechanic, it was almost like destiny was willing this guy to be involved with the watches.
Yeah.
The watch came to him.
The whole idea of the key coming back to him, like the gum being thrown out by the sun, and it's
she warns him at one point, stop throwing the gum, it's sticking to my shoe.
Exactly.
They're foreboding that.
And then and also the eagle feathers, and then even the eagle's feather starting the fire in the thing and waking him up. So it's like all the destiny and the eagle interrupting and the wires, being left on the ground to charge the thing. So it's like the idea of destiny and this kind of the spiritual storyline that they usually have sometimes in some Indian movies, that also was woven in, I think, quite well. So I think all in all, it had all the elements that you're looking for a fun watch. Yeah.
And great dance sequences as well. Some very very good songs.
Very well shot music videos.
And they fit well with the story. They connected with where the characters were. Yeah. I think it was the second one. No, it was the third one. They're in love. They've decided, look, we're going to marry and stuff.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
And very well shot, man. Yeah. He's wearing dapper suit. She's wearing a lovely dress. And I says, what was it I says? I said something here. I don't know what the hell it was. I basically says, just making these two people look absolutely incredible, showing their incredible looks, because they're both very good looking human beings and they've done a great job of capturing it. I said something about Prabhudeva. The first dance sequence, I says, great dancing from Surya, but he's no Prabhudeva. That's for sure. No one is. Stephen, what was your thoughts on this story, man? How it flowed, the character development?
I can only really repeat what you guys have said, but Ruth did touch on the human element, and as you said, there's sort of Indian traditions in the filmmaking as well, in terms of family and love and destiny, etc. And I thought that was very important to establish. I'm going to call her the stepmother. I can't remember her name, but Manny's not his natural mother, but her backstory on the train, where she was going, all that changed when Manny's father passed the kid to her on the train at the very start of the movie.
What was
her
that?
Destiny changed for a good 20 odd years, wasn't it?
So, Satyabama it was, Stephen.
Oh, was
Saranya,
right.
Pon Vanan.
Yeah.
Very good. Very, very good.
And that's what I liked about it. It wasn't a two-dimensional story. It could have just went down the road of a typical science fiction movies that aren't made very well. And I think that's what makes the likes of the films that we've talked about in terms of science fiction and time travel work, that they have got human elements in them. They've got genres within genres as well. You've got the love story in there, you've got the action sequences, you've got the horror. There's some moments in there that are really graphic, and you've got the humour. I thought the humour in this, I actually forgot about that scene you were talking about, John, with the burst tyre. That I laughed out loud.
The pausing, the time pausing in general was amazing. Some of the humour, him out of breath,
the shutter's going up when it kind of hooks her up and she's lifted. Then it happens to his little friend as well.
His little friend, and he's hugging him and getting ready to kiss.
Slapstick stuff, but I like that kind of thing.
And obviously, when he's out of breath, he's telling her she's got imagine romance Ophelia, and he keeps changing. He goes over to be the sort of waiter, then he becomes the gardener. He's bent over, breathing. She's like, "What's up with you?" It's just breathing
funny.
techniques. Brilliant comedic moments in this.
It's almost Charlie Chaplin.
It is, yeah. And then
Yeah.
also, there was another moment I'm trying to think of off the top of my head. He was on the bike with her, and she'd forgot her sort of thing. I don't know what that thing is.
Yeah.
The name, and then the flowers. He puts it on her. She wants to check herself in the mirror. He's like, "That's fine. You look beautiful. Everything happens, and you always look good when you have these things." She's like, "I didn't put them on. What's going on here?" Just subtle little things, but funny. And that's what I'm saying. Getting into standout moments here. One of the major moments I really enjoyed in this movie, major components I enjoyed, was Manny and Samantha and Surya. They were just perfect together. Their chemistry was there.
Yeah.
You felt like there was a romantic
really
kindling.
good, yeah.
Even though she was in denial at parts, she's like, "Look, I'm not ready for love. That's not me. What you're saying, I've got imagined romancophilia. I ain't get this." And he's trying to prod her and poke her. Then he finds out, obviously, that she's, I think, a niece or something. They're all connected. It's just all falling in place for Surya and Manny, the character.
Yeah.
I love that element.
I loved the Manny when he dressed up as the older uncle. To
Yeah.
get the answers out of her. I
Yeah.
thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
It was. And then again, you see, I think is it Metri? Is it Metri? Metra? Is that the character's name?
Mitra.
Mitran,
the
yeah.
bad guy, right?
He's sort of obviously whispering sweet nothings in his ear and saying, "Look, we're going to have to let him know he's your son. You've only got weeks left." It's just the manipulation. That was another aspect of this story I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I love that a lot. It's like twice, he gives you the impression, oh, the truth is going to come out now. And you say, no, that's a manipulation. And the other one is a manipulation as well. So it's, they kept, to the twists and turns, I think was very well placed.
Literally.
So it was a lot
Afria twisting off the stairs with the little scooter to take the attention away from Safia, who's about to out him. And then he goes back in time and rewrites it. Saffron man, he's like, "There you go, bitch, I've got you where I want you." He was like master manipulator, what a villain. And it was all Surya. He played the father, who was a really wholesome, good guy. He played the son, who was a combination. I think at one point Afria says, when he's speaking to the father, when they get back in time, he's worse than me. He's worse than me. He's like a combination of the two, and that's what you need. You can't be a really good guy and well-rounded and not have that gritty, hard edge. Afria was too much. He was too much. He had too much badness in him. He was like a combination, the melting pot. He had the right amount of good, the right amount of grit and determination and fight. So I just loved that, man. I loved the manipulation and the fact that it was him playing three completely different characters, man. It's just incredible performance. I can't get away from it. But we'll get into the performances. Stephen, are you getting any standout moments? I've got a couple. I've got 4 to be precise.
It's the window scene in the building.
Yeah.
It took me by surprise, tonally, just how abrupt it was, but it worked.
Yeah.
It's something like that I had to give for the film to really get into the sort of meat and bones of where they were going with it, and that was the moment. It was the pivotal moment for obviously the uncle as well, because for large parts of that first half of the movie, he wasn't really doing much other than just feeling sorry for himself. Where's the last 26 years of my life gone?
He fell off
blah,
the
blah,
bridge.
And he
Because
didn't
of
have
the
to.
little...
He thought it was a bomb. I think that was really funny at the end as well.
Yeah, he finds out.
Because he finds out
He screams.
He did that in vain. He jumped off that train in vain.
His whole
It turned out it wasn't
paralysis.
even a bomb. Yeah.
26 years in a coma was for nothing.
And I think that was deliberate from the father. I think he wanted to show him you actually lost 26 years of life
like
for
twice,
nothing.
Twice.
So but that moment in the building for me was the sort of pivotal moment. That was the sort of standout one for me. It was very graphic and violent, but I thought, and it was a great way to get into the intermission as well. I can imagine going into a theatre and having that bit hanging there thinking, what did I just see there? Where are they going to go with this now? But they handled it well. I mean, I think after the intermission it was all resolved within 5 minutes. The whole scenario, which I went, oh, that's clever. Okay, so I liked that.
It was horror elements to it as well when he's hiding under the desk and obviously Afrea's in there and he's looking at the screen. He hears the phone ringing. The way he plays him like a fiddle. And look, I tell you, Manny handles himself well. He batters a few people about, but it was almost horror aspects. He's stuck under this desk. He knows it's out of battery and he can't get away. So when you see him getting pushed out the window, you're like, this guy's screwed. And it was violent, but to be fair, you could say that the cutting the hand off or the arm off was gratuitous violence, but I don't think it was. I think it was necessary. This guy was falling, he was dead. He had to get the watch, so he had to cut his arm off. So that was fine. But what was gratuitous was putting the fucking arm in the blender or the thing to power it and get electricity to power the watch. I thought that was quite ingenious. I want the watch, but I don't want to actually shock myself to get power into it. I thought that was good. Have you got any standout moments, Ruth, in this movie?
Yeah, for me, I like the standout moments were the fact that the bomb thing was very funny. I thought to me, the fact that he's so silly in the sense that he knows his brother very well. Even at the end also, it's like, oh, you believe everything I tell you. When he says that he's not going to harm the wife and the child and that kind of stuff. So he knows his brother so well, but yet he could think that he would have made a bomb and put his baby
Yeah.
attached, like in that thing.
Is
in
that
that
ridiculous,
thing,
isn't it?
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it was.
Exactly. That in itself, he's quite smart, but even he couldn't think that way because he's evil at heart.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
would
so
be
it's
something
natural.
he would do. He can't think of how a normal, sane person would behave. So
I like to
I
quote from
found
him, by the way.
that entire sequence really good. That
Yeah.
he got fooled twice with that. The other standout moment I liked was that the general cheekiness that he had, when he finds out that the money, when he finds out that he has gone back in time,
Yeah.
and then he's like that kind of look, and then he comes there and he's like,
Oh, yeah.
he behaves exactly like how anyone who's just discovered, any young person who's just discovered they can manipulate time,
Yeah.
but yet, doesn't have any nefarious behavior about them. The first thing is like, okay, what can I do to get the girl?
Yeah.
And
There's a
that's
moment, man, where I thought
simplistic as his,
there's a moment he paused on the bike now. He's going to give her a kiss, but no, he was thinking about the little decoration stuff and things like that. I'm like, he's at it, this guy. But no, he was. You're right. He was very wholesome, and the way he utilised the
Very
time, the
wholesome,
pausing and stuff.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
exactly.
in
Yeah,
parts.
he didn't think, let me make money, let me, do anything. He didn't think any of those things because essentially he had a very full, happy life. With his who he thought he was his mother and
Yeah.
all that. He had a very full life and he was happy with his friends, with his job, the way it was going, everything. So therefore, for him, the only thing that he needed to get in order was his romantic.
Yeah.
life,
You say that though,
you know?
Ruth, but there is a moment. There's a moment where he absolutely destroys his little work colleague friend. He tries to come in. He steals 100 rupees from him twice. I think he takes money off him. The third time, I think he's actually going and checking what he's up to and finding out, oh, you're selling money stuff at half price or giving a discount
But
to a
he's giving
lovely
the
looking
answers
woman.
before the questions. I've seen that done before with Groundhog Day with Bill Murray.
Yeah.
He was actually answering the question,
question?
before the he was answering before the
Yes,
questions
he's
were
like
given.
pure nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he actually ends up owing him money
Yeah.
at the end of it, which I quite liked.
That's so funny.
He was manipulating him all over the
Yeah.
place. And then the rain stuff,
Yeah.
getting his mother the umbrella and just doing little things. I liked it. I
Bringing
thought
the
it was,
washing in, yeah.
it was a nice way to showcase the power of the Walsh. The pausing was the best. The cricket stuff, going to the cricket match, I found that hilarious. He get caught on the TV, then he makes up the whole Imagine Romancophilia thing. Just the way they utilised the technology was brilliant in the middle part of the movie. And there was a quote I was going to say. You spoke about the pure evil of Afreya. The moment he says before he gets back, I think he's in, I don't know where he is, but he says it may actually be like the chapel or the
Is it in
church.
yeah.
And he says, I'll be the first man in history to go back in time and kill somebody twice. I thought that was a great line. Because like, the dad was so gullible.
Yeah.
He's like, come out and I'll
Yeah.
save you. Just give me the watch. He's like, you believe anything I'll say.
He was,
Punches
he
him
was
about.
the typical, he was a typical eccentric, naive scientist, know, which most people are. They're so taken up by their science and
They don't have any common sense,
they
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
they don't think of the dangers that are posed if it's in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
All they're thinking of is the invention, and their whole life is consumed by that. So he played that, I think, really well. Yeah, so stand out. And I love the twists, the little plot twists, that every time you, that kind of, like you think, hey, he's going to find out because the watch is in the other hand. And then when he follows in, it's like, it wasn't until, when he was, looking through the door, I thought I was falling for the whole, he's discovered that somebody else has come and put him back and everything. Until just before Atreya speaks, he kind of tilts his eye and he's like looking in that direction.
Yeah.
That's when I said, oh no, this guy is going to be acting. And then he turns around and then the photographs are all there. And I was like, yes, I was right.
Yeah.
It's just those tiny little moments, each time you think the truth is going to be revealed and then it's not.
Yeah.
I love the part, another stand-up moment was the checkbook part, where
Yeah.
it's so casually done, and then suddenly he's so sharp, he just realizes that very instant that what he messed up, that kind of thing.
And he
So
throws
I
himself
like
off the stairs.
Yeah.
I love that.
Bottom.
It's a smile he gives her. He's smiling at her as he whips the watch out. He's giving that evil smile as if I've got you.
Going back to that scene you just
And then-
mentioned, Ruth,
yeah.
in regards to when the uncle is pretending to be the father, and you've got Manny on the outside looking through the window, and you can see the photographs on the right hand side. I was actually confused at that moment because I didn't understand what was going on. I thought there was maybe a ripple in the space-time continuum or something like that, and the dad had actually came back. That's the acting of Saria, though. He actually had me convinced that he was the dad, and I went, wait a minute, it's the uncle pretending to be the dad. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
Because he was a twin.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? There was another moment I was going to speak about there, and I've completely blanked on it. It's lost. It's lost to the annals of time, which is ironic because I'll never get it back like they do in this movie. There was something that's winding me up now that I can't remember it. It's gone. Doesn't matter. That's going to wind me up now.
I even like the part where the numbers are going at the end and then
It was
he
in.
screams and then the pacifier goes in his mouth.
Oh, that was
love
good,
that.
yeah. Because he was manipulating things. He thought he could make things go his way, and they ultimately don't. He falls through the floor. It was the end sequence I was going to speak about. The moment where Saffron Man, is it? I keep forgetting his name. Falls in the ground, and you don't realise he's used the wires to shock the watch, and he's getting ready to shoot him. He pauses time, and he goes round and takes him and puts him down and lets him die. I thought that was brilliant. It was almost like an evil reverse Quicksilver.
Exactly.
That's
That was
exactly
the
that,
only
yeah.
time you see him. Yeah, that's the only time you see him finally learn his lesson and it's like, okay, he needs to think smart because even until the end, right? He believed him, and he came back. He came out because he's that naive a character that he really thinks that maybe the brother has got just a streak of niceness about him.
Yeah.
But then right at the end is when you can see, okay, he finally learns his lesson, and it's like, no, I can't let him get away.
Yeah. When he gets back in time for the first time as well, and he realises he's got his legs back, and he checks the mirror and sees he's young again, he does a little whoop and dance. He's so excited.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant because that's what you'd be like if you'd lost 26 years. You were this older, greyer individual. You were paralysed. You'd be like, shit. If you get it back, you'd be like, oh my god, I've got a second chance. And again, Saria just imbues it with that brilliant little performance. But look, speaking about performances, who's your standout performance in this
This is a silly question,
movie?
John.
I tell you, man, it's a little bit harder
It's got to be
for
the
me
guy
than
who
you
plays
think.
3 roles, though.
Of course, it's going to be Saria. I'm talking
Yeah.
shite. But I tell you, Samantha was very good as
Yeah,
Safia.
she's
She was
fantastic,
required. I've seen a lot of indie movies, sadly telepathy ones, where the female characters are sometimes they're in the movie, but
They're lesser,
you can cut them out of the movie. And they've actually had people coming in and saying, look, you could cut that character out of the movie. It wouldn't make any difference. It's necessary for the movie in the sense that it gives us some romantic levity when there's stuff going on. There's maybe people getting killed or being chased. But in this movie, Samantha, well, I mean, I suppose you could cut her out of the movie as well, and it'd just be a time travel movie, the evil twin brothers trying to kill his nephew. But I thought she was brilliant. I thought the character and the interactions was a real standout. Obviously between Manny and Safia, she was brilliant. I don't actually remember. Priya, I think Nifia Menon was maybe the mother, the proper mother.
Yeah.
But Saranya Pon Vannon,
The stepmother.
thought was brilliant. The stepmother, she
she
has
was
the
good.
moment where she
Really
explains,
I loved her
look, this is
backstory,
you're adopted, but you've been my child for 26 years. I'm
That
your mother.
scene, John, that we talked about standout moments. I actually forgot to talk about that.
Yeah.
That was so emotional between those two actors.
He's crying as well.
yeah, it's
And it's that moment that reunites the
normally
family.
those scenes, when someone finds out that their parents aren't really their parents, they're angry and that kind of thing, it kicks off and all that. It didn't happen in this because she was so sincere in her love for him. Although it wasn't her natural son, she loved him and nourished him like
Yeah, she sacrificed
like it
so much,
was.
Stephen.
Yeah, she did. She sacrificed her life.
And that's why her son obviously changes things at the end
it was
to
a
make
great
sure she
scene.
has her life.
Yeah.
And it all comes together brilliantly because also the father goes and works for her father and I think a school or something. By the way, she's in a movie called Unemployed Graduate. She plays Bivana, and she actually acts alongside Danush.
She usually acts in a lot of movies that as mother role, and she does it really well. And so
In fact, she's alongside Danush, so that intrigues me because I love Danush. So may have to be watching that one at some point. It's got good ratings as well.
I'm going to cut the thing short here, John, with my reply. It's Surya, 3 roles, different roles, and he actually made me forget that it was the same actor playing 3 different roles as well.
Yeah. I completely agree, Stephen. I can't put it any more succinctly. Incredible performance to make you believe it's 3 different people.
Yeah.
Best performance I could think of. Ruth, have you got any different views? Is there another actor that's a standout?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think Surya definitely, because he played like 3 clearly distinct characters. The eccentric but smart, naive scientist.
Even the posture.
Cheeky, very cheeky, charming kind of young man. And then also, the uncle's role obviously was the best because he's this egomaniacal and sadistic person. And what was interesting was that not only was it 3 characters, in a way there was like a 4th character because he played the younger version of the uncle, Athreya, differently from the older version. The older version was a little bit more bitter, and you can see the years of being more evil, and the younger one had a bit more of that kind of like peacocky flair.
Yeah, he was cocky.
The way he did things,
Even his dress sense, he's got the leather jacket, he's got the gloves and all of that, he's got the incredibly tuned facial hair. So it was unreal.
And it shows you that he's a very vain person also, in addition to that, because when his younger self, he feels he looks good, so therefore he's got all this kind of strutting around, and
to be fair, it did look good. It did.
Exactly.
And also when he sees the grey hair, he's like, shit, I've got a beard, I've got grey hair, I look terrible.
Exactly.
Where's my life went? No. I was such a vibrant young guy, I was going to have time in the palm of my hand, I could manipulate it. Now I've lost 26 years of my life. I thought that was a great quote, by the way. That was an incredible quote. I actually wrote that down. I don't know if I've still got it. I pretty much just said it. But it was an incredible quote. Can I find it? I don't think I can. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And again, that's Surya.
I think Athreya was the most gripping for me. The way the character was portrayed was so. It's like it's you absolutely love he's like a pure, complete villain with absolutely no redeeming point about him at all. My only gripe was that I wish that they had given a bit more of a backstory to Athreya to make us see where this level of hatred. I mean, he's obviously clearly the brother is very naive. So he could have manipulated him in many ways in which he could have tried getting the watch away from him without having to go to the lengths of killing the wife and him, and
I think that's just a sort of sociopathic thing, though,
isn't it? A seething level of hatred that he has, which doesn't. I mean, they didn't really explain why. I mean, I guess it's the jealousy. And the fact that he does explain a little bit in the sense that, it's a different, just because you're born twins doesn't make you exactly the same as each other. So in that sense, he's different. But I would have liked a little bit more, information as to why he is that villainous.
Yeah. I think that's just down to pure evil. I think that's what it is. Some people are just born evil.
You
see it in real life.
They have no feelings. They have no empathy.
Yeah.
And they just want to kill. Some people just want to see the world burn.
Yeah.
As the great Michael Caine would have says as Alfred Pennyworth. But man, technical stuff. I'm looking at A.R. Rahman just now. What a guy. Oscar-winning composer for Slumdog Millionaire. Been involved in a lot of the songs that Prabhu Deva has danced in that we've reacted to.
Yeah.
He's an incredible composer. He's got an incredible eye for music. And I says that the dance sequences in this were brilliant, the music was perfect, and just the score in general, it enhanced the emotional moments, it enhanced the sort of thriller moments, it enhanced the drama moments, it enhanced the moment in the actual chairman's, obviously it was a Freya's office at Phoenix, I think, watches or something. Just his score was perfect for me. It was a great score.
The score was perfect. Very dramatic, nice score.
And you expect it from A.R. Rahman, because I know for a fact he's an absolute baller when it comes to composing. But look, cinematography as well. There was 2. I've seen S.T. Rue before. The name rings a bell. I'm sure he's been involved in other movies that we have done. I know for a fact he has. But Kieran Dealhans was the other one. There's two cinematographers, so I can't even speak, cinematographers on this movie. And I thought they captured the time travel aspect, the pausing, especially the cricket field scene when he goes over the fence and they're all kind of frozen.
Do you know
really,
something?
really impressive.
Especially when it's a populated area, you do look out.
Yeah.
You try your best to try and find someone that's going to flinch. We noticed it in Tenet. Yeah, you pointed it out to me in Tenet right at the very start.
Yeah,
that person in the theatre,
kind of like
pretending
Moose,
to be
knocked
unconscious. But I was doing that at the cricket scene as well because it was so populated. I thought there's going to be one that lets this whole scene down. Couldn't find a fault anywhere.
Yeah, couldn't find
close up. And just the technical aspects of the visual aspects were spot on for me. I loved the way they animated the watch. I thought that was really well done.
Oh, Stephen,
the strap, there
was Fincher stuff going on in this movie.
Yeah.
David Fincher Panic Room stuff.
Meets
Man of War. I think it's Man of War with Nick Cage.
Yeah.
The sequence that follows the bullet being manufactured into the terrorist gun.
Yep.
There was elements of that focusing in on
the
stuff, sort of mixing and the. I don't know what you'd call it.
I like the tunnel bit. The tunnel bit reminded me of Indiana Jones.
It reminded me of the Goonies.
Let's get that vibe. Yeah. I says that watching it. That's another thing. This house this guy's built, I'm like, it's unreal. It's like the Addams Family meets something else. Home Alone. It's got a house of horrors meets gadgetry. It's got secret walls. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I really love the art direction for this. The set of the lab. Even the sets in the songs, the locations, and just generally, and even the street, where the watch store is, and the street, the look of the street and everything. I really liked the art direction a lot. I thought it was really nice.
Listen, you speak about visuals, you speak about cinematography. The moment he pauses in the rain.
Yeah, beautiful.
And the raindrops are there, and then it pans out to the wide shot of the town, and there's loads of rain. I'm like, that is very impressive. Incredible. I don't know how they did it. Must have been visual
artists. It was actually going like that with some of the raindrops.
It was rain, it was absolutely. That's the type of thing I'd do, man. We get a lot of rain. I'd pause it so I don't have to get soaked. That's the type of thing I'd do. But look, editing as well. Pravin Pudi. I thought it was a slick movie. Him alongside the script of obviously Vikram K. Kumar.
Yeah.
A good tandem. It was very well edited. There's not much I'd take out of this movie, if anything, really. Can't think of anything. Even the superfluous stuff, the sort of joking about in the bedroom, going on about Imagine Romancophilia. I wouldn't take that out. It added to the story, added to the movie. Very well edited. I says it at the start, a 2 or 40 minute movie. It went by and it felt like 2 hours. So
I will say one thing about the editing. The editing itself, for the way the movie flowed, was fine in terms of there wasn't any continuity problems. Tonally, there was bits that bothered me in the editing. I felt that sometimes the story went abruptly from one genre to the next, as I described.
Yeah,
you're having that sort of romantic bit just before 5 minutes before he gets his arm cut off shot and thrown out the window.
Yeah,
I just thought.
Because she says that.
I was actually my jaw dropped at this moment. I went, I can't believe they just did that.
You see, but because I seen the guy getting shot in the head, obviously Sefer Marin, I'll screw his name. Ruth, tell me what the name is. Sefer Marin. When he gets shot at the start on the train, I'm like, that tells me there's going to be a bit of violence in here. So I was aware of it. And then Stephen says, "Wait, you see before the intermission what happens." It's unreal. I'm like, right, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And when he was at that window, I'm like, he's done in here. So that didn't bother me too much. Am I going to say something else here? I don't know. I don't think so. No. Oh yeah.
I'm very interested in your rating, John, because this is almost a perfect film.
No, it's not. No, I'm going to. You've just read my mind, Stephen. I'm about to get into criticisms before we go into overall thoughts.
I thought this was another A coming up.
No. Yeah, look, I spoke about it before. I'm not a huge. Before we even come on, it says I'm not a huge fan of time travel movies. Then Stephen rhymes off the butterfly effect and frequency, and I'm like, maybe I'm talking crap. But they kept changing parameters of the watch, the way the watch worked. It's like, right, he can change time. He's the only guy that lives it. Obviously, Safia can't see what's happening when he changes time. Then he changes time when obviously he topples off the stairs. Freya, he's aware of the fact he's went back in time. I'm like, right, that's different. That was strange. Nitpicking here. I'm nitpicking. It's nitpicks.
Because the reason why he knew is because he touched.
Right.
He touched the watch. Athreya
You're
knew
right.
about it because
You're absolutely right.
His finger touches the watch.
And then obviously they continue
that was the whole point, yeah.
And they continue that getting into the end, and the church, he jumps and
Yeah.
grabs
Exactly,
the watch, so
and-
he's
and
aware
then
that if
they
he
show you
touches
and-
it. Yep, you're right. So I take that back, Ruth. You've just felt that in for me. Was there anything
Ratings
else?
going up, John.
No. Oh yeah, there was one last thing. I've got three things I was criticising the movie for. And I think the first one, there's MacGuffins. There's kind of MacGuffin things going on in the movie.
MacGuffins all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, there's kind of I can live with that. It's a sci-fi movie. You've got to suspend disbelief. It's
It
fine.
kind of cuts the corners of a long.
Yeah, I mean, if you
story,
explain
you know,
how things happen,
the
it'd add another
film would
40
be
minutes
5
onto the
hours
movie.
long if you didn't have some MacGuffins in there.
And also, when I'm speaking about a very slick edited movie, that's because of things like this, cutting corners and speeding things up. That's fine. But one thing that did bother me, and I'm going to admit it just now, before we get your overall thoughts, it did bother me.
Yeah.
Why did Manny go to that company?
Yep.
When he sees the advertisement for the
That's
watch,
what
why
bothered
did
me.
you go to
Yep.
that company? You don't have to go. I know your friend says, look, I could be doing with that money. Ignore that bitch.
I
Don't
think
go to
he
that
was
company.
also cute.
You've got the
No,
watch,
but
don't do
that's
it.
the thing, he was- Well, because that's the thing. You see, he was curious because he's wondering how does somebody know, because
Yeah.
he knows that box was with him since he was a kid.
Yeah.
So now he's starting to wonder in which way is this company related to the watch that
Yeah.
he's had as a kid. So it's the curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
I think, that was there that he decides, and I like the fact that they were very detailed about that, when he discovers that the back of the watch, he had written he had done the back part of the watch as well, and that's how Athreya knew that this was somebody who had seen the original. And that moment under the table, he realizes his silly mistake.
Yeah.
When he replicated it,
Yeah. Yeah.
he just wanted to follow. That's why he went searching while the friend was waiting there,
Yeah.
because he was
trying to
very
find out,
curious.
yeah,
to
why
find
they-
out
how they knew, yeah.
exactly. And I
He's
think
trying to
that
find
was
the history.
reason why he went there, because he wanted to find out.
And also, in terms of the story, it was good that he went, because he also gets killed horrifically, but then he gets brought back to life, and then it actually ends out well, because he actually gets his mother and father back, and it's a more wholesome, better upbringing for him. And he also still keeps in contact with the mother-in-law. But it did annoy me. I'm like, why is he going? Come on, I wouldn't do that. I'd keep a hold of this watch. Screw how it got to you. Screw how they know about it. Don't go. Don't do it. They're going to kill you. They're going to chop your arm off. Don't do it, Manny.
You can't really do that in any film. You talk about Back to the Future 2. I'm like, why are you throwing the
I'm
almanac
nitpicking,
away,
Stephen.
Doc? Just give it back to the shop. Don't leave it there for Biff to pick up and
Exactly.
ruin the world.
There's so many
Yeah,
moments, man.
keep
Listen,
doing
there's
that,
so
you know.
many moments. Like, don't fucking do it. But then the movie doesn't exist if
Yeah,
they don't
that's
do
it, yeah,
You've
it's
got
not-
to.
it's not a
There's
very
got to
good
be a
story.
creative decision. Look,
Yeah.
we have to take this character here to do this, so we can bring the villain in and actually allow him to be the villain. There's so many moments. Endgame. You've got Nebula hanging about. She hangs around, gets captured with Thanos. Don't do it. Move on. So look, I'm nitpicking. That's what I'm saying. But I digress. Overall thoughts in this movie. Sorry, Ruth. On you go.
Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, my only nitpick was there's like one or two things. The fact that the way he's fighting in the
Pardon me.
company, right?
Yeah.
The way he lifts the table and he fights. That one was a bit. I was wondering. Okay, they didn't tell us how.
he's a big
come
boy
such
though,
a good
Ruth.
fighter. He's a watch mechanic. How does he know how to fight like that?
Ruth,
But
did you see his
fine.
physique?
That's the normal disbelievability. That's there. Okay, fine.
Ruth, if somebody
And,
does.
The other thing.
Sorry, if somebody does weight training, I seen this guy's pec muscles ripping out of the t-shirt.
See that guy?
He's
the,
a monster.
The henchman.
Yeah.
He bitch slapped him in that.
Oh,
office.
yeah.
He was a big guy, and he just bounced him around the room.
I'm actually going to search Saria physique up here because I actually need to see this guy's physique because I've seen him with the clothes on. I'm like, this guy's a unit. I'm going to look up and see if he's a fucking absolute monster. I'm looking at photographs of him just now. The guy is unbelievable. He's almost Henry Cavill. Superman meets Chris Evans, Captain America. He's an absolute monster. That's how you can pick the table up.
He works hard on his physique, to look good for the movies, yeah.
I'm telling you, man. Sorry. No, it's alright.
So that was my only a little bit of a gripe, and maybe I would have liked. I think Samantha did quite a lot in the movie, but I felt that maybe they could have given her a bit more. Like you see the scene she had with Athreya where she discovers. I liked that scene a lot. I would have liked it if maybe instead of could have cut down the romance a little bit, and then maybe given her a little bit more of a. Part of the main.
They could have extended
revenge
that
plot.
moment out a bit. I felt, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I think that would have been better to, or they could have clarified certain things or
I
whatever.
think
Like
myself,
use that time.
as you knocked it on the head earlier, Ruth, the whole reason for the romance stuff and his relationship with Safia was to showcase that this guy's got the watch. He knows what it can do,
Exactly, yeah.
and he's not corruptible. He's not an evil guy. He's actually got good in his
Yes,
heart. He's got good
exactly.
intentions. Because if he'd heart evil, he'd go and do nefarious stuff. He'd rob people. The fact he's only trying to woo this girl, it's to show this guy's different. He's not a Freya. He's not his dad, Saffron Marin. How you say that name? He's in between, and I think that was the reason. It was a sort of long way to say that. But for me,
Yeah.
that's part of the movie.
Yeah.
And as you said, Ruth, I've watched a lot of South Indian movies now, and Indian movies in general, and that's what you said earlier on. It keeps its integrity as a sort of Indian movie experience.
Yeah.
They've all got that. They've all got that multi-genre stuff going on. They've got the song and dance. They've got the action. They've got the horror moments. They've got the sort of romance. So for me, I didn't mind that. That's staying true to the actual where the movie's filmed, the location. That's the vibe you get from Indian movies. So that was fine for me. I enjoyed it. And look, as I said, that was one of the standout moments for me. I thought Samantha was absolutely outstanding in this movie, and it was the relationship between her and Surya in this that actually, for me, actually boosts the rating up, which we'll get into just now. Ruth, I'm going to go to you first because I like to put you under the bus. I'll get you. Oh, sorry, I've not even got to overall thoughts here. We're jumping ahead. We can do it after.
It's normally overall thoughts, and then the person gives their rating anyway.
Gives the ratings, but we'll do it.
Yeah,
Well, what's your overall thoughts on the movie before we rate then?
Okay, my overall thoughts
getting
is
ahead of
that
myself.
I mean it's a time travel movie with a lot of heart. It gives me that same kind of emotional feel that I had when I watched Back to the Future and the friendship between Doc and Marty McFly. It has that kind of wholesome emotional feeling about it, which I really like. I thought it was an entertaining plot. It flowed really well. You could follow the thread of the storyline. You didn't get caught up in a lot of time travel movies sometimes gets caught up in that kind of a convoluted storyline, the back and forth of it all, so that sometimes you might lose the plot a bit, or you might leave some things not fully hashed out. This didn't have any of that. It didn't have a convoluted storyline. It was it flowed really well. It was very well scripted. I loved all of that. And clearly there was like a clear antagonist, an evil mastermind, and you need that in this kind of movies. Somebody to really rail against. It was a very believable, sadistic, egomaniacal, villain. I absolutely loved the fact that it had a very clear antagonist in this, and it had a lot of that edge of your seat moments, which I really, really liked. The fact that, all the twists and turns, like you were almost hanging on to, okay, what's going to happen now, that kind of things, which I thought was very necessary. And it was just, generally, I would say it was a very fun entertainment, have some popcorn, watch with the family kind of feel. And I really thought it really was able to entertain me. Yeah.
That's what I says. That you've just took the words right out of my mouth. I says to Stephen, he asked me what was your thoughts in the movie. I says, look, for me it was a great popcorn flick.
Yeah.
And look,
it was.
Look, you can talk about it. I always speak about big drama movies, Chloe Zhao and Christopher Nolan. They do these big epic drama movies and stuff like that. There's a place for that, but there's also a place for just fun, enjoyable movies that tell a nice, interesting story. They've got nice characters. There's good acting. It's a popcorn flick. You need everything.
Yep.
You need a wide range of different movies. Ruth, I will let you rate it. Then we'll get Stephen in. He can give his thoughts, and I'll let him rate it. Then I'll do it last because I just want to see how he's rating this. Then I'll make my mind up.
Hey. I mean, initially I wanted to give it a C+ because I thought it was a good watch, but I had certain issues with it. But I think it's more like a B- to me, only because of one thing. It just kind of borders on a B- a bit because I thought it was very tight. They covered all the plot points. There wasn't any loose threads hanging around. So that, I think, brings it up a notch. And the fact that he played all these different characters in the movie really well, very distinct. So I think that made it a bit more enjoyable for me. That I liked the fact that I could see a showcase of his talent in the movie, and it made it that much more enjoyable for me. So I think probably settle with a B minus.
B minus. Ruth's giving it a B minus. Incidentally, hello Matthew. Welcome in. Appreciate you coming in, my man. Stephen, what was your overall thoughts before you get into a rating?
Yeah, for this movie, John, it's
Doing this
one of those films
why.
that I will go back to because it was an enjoyable movie. It was very wholesome in the sense that the science fiction stuff kind of was more just a convenient way of telling a very good story. It wasn't at the forefront for me. The visuals and stuff like that kind of highlighted that for me. But I think for me, there was issues with the tone, the way it was edited, in the sense that it went from one genre to the next very abruptly. But that's my only gripe with this film. I thought it was a very good story in there. I thought the actors really made the characters well-rounded as well. Saria convinced me that there was 3 actors playing these characters, and that takes a lot to do that for anyone. Before I give my rating though, I'm not basing this on time travel rules from previous films.
Time travel.
I can't do that because it's not really fair doing that because time travel does not exist. I can't say you're doing time travel wrong,
right,
because it's just theories at the end of the day.
Well, technically it would exist, Stephen. I think your man Albert Einstein did suggest that time travel could exist if you had a fast enough ship with enough energy.
Again, it's a theory, John. You can't prove it. So
Albert's been right about a lot of things.
The other thing that I will say is that I could have went down the road and saying, well, he's went back a minute here. Why are we not seeing the previous version of Manny? Why would you get to see this guy in real time and we're not seeing him from the past? And things like the watch. Going back the very next day, he's not got the watch now. No, he did have the watch the day before, that kind of thing. I could have nitpicked that stuff, but I didn't because I was really enjoying the story overall. But as I said, there was just moments in there that I just thought, wow, we're going from romantic to horror now. No warning of that. Okay. Fine, that's great. It's very dramatical, I suppose.
Stephen, it's not as bad as when I was watching Pizza, I loved the movie. I loved it. But I was going along, I'm like, right, this is a nice, easy, easy movie. We've got some sort of dancing. They've been married. Then he gets into this house and it turns into a full-blown horror. I'm like, what? I wasn't expecting it. But I enjoyed that. I like horror.
I think looking back on these films over a period of time, I think it's just conditioning yourself to that sort of format. It's something I'm not really used to. It's something maybe once we've went down the road of watching more Indian sci-fi movies and horror films as well. It's something that I think it's just something because we've not dabbled in it, John, enough. As you said at the start of the review, we've primarily did romantic, action, comedy, sports to an extent as well. We've not really dabbled in the horror genre or the sci-fi genre either, so I think it's probably just a conditioning thing, but it did take me out a little bit. But overall, I really liked this film. Saria was sublime.
What's your rating, Stephen?
A C+.
Just because I was like, are you going to give us a rating, Steve? My overall thoughts on this movie, look, I'm sitting a kind of halfway house between yourself and Ruth. There was elements that, if I'm being picky, then it excuse me, it's this beer. I mean, it's great beer, it really is. Innocent Gun, a great brewery, but Jesus Christ, it was catching me at the back of the throat there. Lager, sorry. If I was being nitpicky, I could pick issues out, man, say, look, this, but I can do it. You can do that with any movie. This is a beer kicking in, by the way. We're starting to do Scottish slang. I can do that with any movie. Which translates to I can do that with any movie. So look, I'm not going to hold that against any movie, because you can do that. You can go into Star Wars and nitpick, why is he doing this, why is he doing that, and that's one of my all-time favourite movies, so I'll not do that. For me, it flowed very well. It was a top experience. If you're asking me for ratings, in fact, I'm going to give you a dual rating here. I'll go for rating on Saria's performance. There you go. This is what I give Saria's performance.
Oh, come on, John.
I give Saria's performance an A, because it was unbelievable. It's one of the best performances I've seen in an Indian movie ever. And I've seen about 20 odd, so I should know. That was an incredible performance. That was like Eddie Murphy, but done 100 times better on steroids from the 90s. Multiple characters. He made them look like completely different characters, completely different people. And just an incredible performance. And that really, for me, I tell you what, I'm going to go for it, man. I'm going to give this movie, because I've said my thoughts on it, I'm giving this, I'm switching between a C+ and a B-. I'm going to give it a C+. You pull my leg, I'm giving it a C+. I think it was a good movie. It was high good. There was a lot of good stuff going on in there. I thought the script was very well handled. It was very well edited. There was brilliant performances. Samantha was a standout.
Does
The mother was a
Saria's
standout.
performance bring that up to a C+ for you, John?
No, listen, if you ask me, I'm being harsh. I'm giving it a C+ purely for the story. And
Right,
look, as
okay.
I said before, we even came on, not a huge fan of time travel movies
Yeah.
in general. So for me, the story's a C+. The movie as a whole's a C+. Saria, I'm compartmentalising him. I'm taking him out of it.
You should
If I was
watch
to be,
Project
if I was to be,
Almanac. You'll like
if I was
that.
to be influenced by Saria's performance and just, I mean, I'd give it a B+ or something like that. So I can't. I'm trying to be very analytical and take myself out. This is something I always used to say when we started doing written movie reviews. I get drawn in and get very emotionally invested in parts of the movie, and we've got an incredible writer called Gianni who writes on the website from time to time. And what I admired about him was when he watched a movie, he could step back, disconnect himself from aspects that could cloud his judgment that he really enjoyed about a movie, and then say, look, no, this is the overall rating. So I'm trying to be more like Gianni, because he's how you do it in a sense. But look, I say that I gave 96 an A purely because of VG Sefipafi and the incredible performance but that was the whole fucking movie. It was Trisha and it was Trisha and VG Sefipafi. It was a romantic movie. That was the whole movie. So yeah. Look, man, I digress. I'm giving in here. I'm talking about writers that have not even been on the show ever.
We've been talking for an hour.
It's been an hour again. Oh no, it was meant to be 30 minutes. It was meant to be 30 minutes. Oh,
You
dear.
can't do 30 minutes with 3 people.
No, it's very hard. But
Yeah.
Stephen, you can cut it apart and you can put it out as a shorter 20-30 minute experience. We've got a couple of comments before we round it up. I shall read them. I am going to give a list of some latest awesome movies to watch. Sir Shash, now 2021. Don't know what that is. Bahubali 1 and 2. We have watched and reviewed those movies. Loved them. S.S. Rajamouli, the great Prabhas. The person that played his mother. I think it was her birthday or something. I seen something come out about her. Great actor. Are you guys? Do you guys like which type of genre in movies? We like all genres, mate. Horror, romance, comedy, drama, historical, everything. I'll watch anything apart from found footage. I fucking hate that. Horror. Watched Tumbad. Heard about that. 1920. Shapif is that? I can't read it. Raz 1 and Raz 2. Thank you very much for the recommendations, man. We'll pass it over to Ruth, who knows the score as well, and we can take her thoughts on it. But what we tend to do is we tend to go actors and just break it down actor by actor by actor, get the community involved, and then we just go down a rabbit hole with them. It's like Alice in Wonderland with Indian, South Indian actors. But look, man, that's going to round the review up. What was your thoughts on the movie 24? What did you make about that great guy Saria, Samantha, everyone else involved in this movie? They're the only two I'm going to list, though, because they are really the only two that matter in this movie. And I know I'm being harsh on the other actors, but that's just the reality. Those are the two that matter in this movie for me. What's your thoughts, name on the story or review? If you've got anything at all you want to share, and you feel compelled to put it down below in the comment section, that is certainly the place for it. You can do that. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the follow button over on Twitch if you want to see more content like this in the future, and you will get it. I think we're going to be doing a Rajinikanth movie next week. I think it's going to be Telepathy.
It looks very
going
close,
to be
very close in the
It's going to be Telepathy. But look, man, to the person that says this wasn't a good movie, you're lying. It was a good movie. I seen your comment in the comment section. You can share your thoughts down below about it, though, and you can tell me why you think it isn't a good movie or it isn't that great, and I'll politely disagree. But look, until then, if you want to subscribe, you want to follow, you can see us again. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. But look, until then, me, Ruth and Steve are done. Catch you after. Bye bye.